What's up everyone, this is skycedi and welcome back to another video. I'm very excited because this is my first Q&A video. I asked you guys to send me questions and you guys did, so I'm ready to answer them today. Thank you guys so much for sending your questions. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to every single one of them, but I'll definitely do my best, and I might even have to split this into 2 parts, and so we'll see how it goes. By the way, there is construction going on outside of my apartment, and so if there's a little bit of background noise, I do apologize, but I just want to let you guys know that. Nevertheless, let's get started with the questions. Now, the first question comes from Darnia Taylor, and she asks, my daughter is interested in teaching in Korea. She's a sophomore this year. What does she need to know? All right, Darnia, I'm assuming that your daughter is a sophomore in college, and if that is the case, the main thing that she needs to do is make sure she finishes her bachelor's degree. Now, there's 2 main routes that you can take when it comes to teaching English in Korea. You can work for the public school system, or you can work for the private school system, which is called a hagwon. And the requirements are very similar, but hagwons are a little bit more flexible with their requirements. So for the public school system, you're required to have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter which field it's in, as long as it's from an accredited university, and also a TEFL or TESOL certification, which is a teacher's certificate. It basically says that you received some degree of training in teaching English. And so as long as she has that, she can qualify for the public school systems. Now, hagwons are a little different. A lot of hagwons don't actually require a teaching certificate, though it does help. So as long as she has her bachelor's degree. Now, I got my degree in psychology, so it has nothing to do with teaching per se. And also I have no prior professional teaching experience. So your daughter has a little bit of time to make sure she finishes school. And also I would recommend that she does get a TEFL or TESOL certification. If you want to get a little bit more information about how I got accepted into EPIK, I'm going to link the playlist below where it has several different videos where you can see me going through the process in real time. And so this was all last year, so everything is pretty recent, so I encourage you to check that out. The next question is from Annalisa Pesos. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And the question is, what inspired you to move to Korea? Long story short, I've always wanted to live in Korea. Ever since I was a kid, ever since I was a teenager, I remember always having thoughts of, what if I moved to Korea? Now, my mom is from Korea, and I've always been interested in what it was like to live in Korea. So as I got older, that desire kind of got placed on the back burner, and it wasn't until I made a visit to Korea back in 2012 with my family that I realized I really wanted to move here. So that was about 5.5, 6 years ago. From that point on, that desire really started to grow again. So with that said, in recent times, I really went through this self-awareness kick where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life and what kind of legacy I wanted to leave. And because of that, I revisited the idea of me going to Korea, and I realized that now is the perfect time to do it. I'm not gonna get any younger. At a certain point, I want to settle down and have a family, and it would be increasingly harder to do that if I was in the States to move to Korea with a family and with responsibilities. So yeah, last year I just kind of had a moment where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this because I don't want to get older and regret not ever doing it. Very good question. Next question is from Taylor Marie, and she asks, if you know Korean, what did/would you learn first? The alphabet or the language/speaking? Now, I do know Korean, but I am not the most fluent in it just yet. I grew up around Korean language. I grew up around my mom speaking to me in Korean, so my listening skills is a lot stronger than my speaking skills. So I wanted to just throw that out there. But for me, growing up, I learned the speaking and listening first. I really didn't learn the alphabet until I was probably in high school. And once I learned that, that made everything make more sense and made everything a lot easier. So what I would recommend is learning both at the same time, but putting a heavy focus on learning the alphabet, because that's gonna be the foundation to you learning the rest of the language. And trust me, you're gonna have a much easier time learning the language. So hope that helps. Fanny Annie asks, hi skycedi, will you get the chance to meet up with any of your Korean relatives in Korea? I don't actually have any close relatives in Korea anymore. Most of them actually came over to the United States in the 1980s and early 90s. And so most of my relatives that at least my family's close to, they're all in the States. And so I do have distant cousins and great aunts, I believe. but we've lost contact with them, and so my mom hasn't even spoken to them in probably 2 or 3 decades. So unfortunately, I don't have any family members that I'm connected with here in Korea. I wish I did, but because of that, I won't be meeting them. How You're Living asks, hello from California. Love your videos and positive content. Keep up the work of excellence. My daughter has been studying Korean on her own for 4 years now. She can read and write in Hangul, but she is having a hard time with the conversational challenges. Any suggestions? Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that will help your daughter is, and this is me going off of assumption and not really knowing the full scope of the context, is her actually having a handful of Korean friends or even native Korean speakers that she's connected with in some way, like a tutor or a teacher, and having dialogues and conversations with them. This will help her with her speaking aspect, and it will also help her to speak naturally. Learning from a textbook or even from a website is great, and there's some great resources out there, and I'm sure your daughter knows all of them, but if she can actually put those into practice, I think that's gonna help out a lot. Even with me moving to Korea, being here for only 2 months, my speaking has gotten a lot better because I'm having to use it more. Back in the States, I barely spoke Korean outside of maybe some of the basic phrases and things like that because everything was English focused around me. So I think being in a situation that kind of forces you to speak Korean is the best way to learn. And that's how we learned as kids. We were in a situation where we had to learn our native tongue and our native language through just being immersed in it and just speaking it. So hopefully that helps your daughter. All right, next question is from Marcy Guerra. What was the application process for EPIK like for you? Timeline, any tips? Yeah, sure. So the application process was pretty painless for the most part. I will say this, that me starting way ahead of schedule really helped. I went through a recruiter to help me with my application and to submit the application on my behalf. So that really helped out a lot. So for the spring 2018 intake, I started the process in late July of last year. So in late July, I buckled down on a recruiter, and September 1st was the very earliest that my application could be submitted. So when September 1st came around, I was ready to submit the application, and bam, it was there. And in about a couple of weeks, I heard back from EPIK, and we scheduled my interview for October. And in October, I had my interview, and within a couple of days, I found out the decision that I got accepted into the program. So after getting the interview, I think that the ball kind of got rolling a little bit quicker, and next thing you know, I'm in Korea. Again, I encourage you to check out the playlist where it shows you my process happening in real time, and so check that out, linked below. So as far as tips, my biggest tip would be to start as early as possible. That way you're not stressed out about getting everything done in time, because there's a lot involved in the application. And so if you give yourself enough time, by the time that submission is open, you'll be able to submit it and you'll be fine. So it is kind of a first come, first served basis. So the earlier you submit your application, the sooner you're gonna get an interview schedule if they approve your application. And so I definitely encourage you to make sure you get started super early. Let's move to some Instagram questions. Mika in Korea, fellow YouTuber, check him out by the way. He asks, what's your biggest success and failure in life so far? In the case of failure, what have you learned from it? Mika, that's a really good question, and I would have to say that my biggest successes and failures are linked in a way. Some of my bigger failures have come from trying certain things, especially in my 20s and even in my early 30s, trying out business ideas and just going all in on certain projects or ideas I really stood behind that I thought would work. And for one reason or another, those projects or businesses didn't pan out the way that I wanted them to. So in the eyes of most people, you would think that that would be considered a failure. But for me, I think it has led to the next step, or has led to more self-discovery. It has led me to more self-awareness, and I discover more about myself. And I think that those failures have launched me into greater success, because I'll get another idea and discover, hey, maybe this is the route that I should take. And it creates like this resiliency within you. And so I'm not really afraid to try new things, and I'm not really afraid to go all in on certain things, because I know that the path of success is preceded by a lot of failed attempts. I know at a certain point that I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna hit the nail on the head. So I would say that that is probably my biggest success, even though that's not a like tangible thing. It's more of my mindset, and that's gonna lead to greater success in the future. So hopefully I answered your question with that. Good question. Next question is from Blasian Quinn Dynasty. I hope I said that right. What app or website do you use to edit your videos? So most of my videos up until about 2 months ago, I edited with Final Cut Pro, but recently I switched over to Premiere Pro, which is from Adobe, and I kind of use a combination of both, honestly, because I'm still learning Premiere Pro. Definitely not as easy as Final Cut Pro, I would say, but it's a lot more powerful as an editor, and so that's what I'm using right now, and I'm kind of using both, where I'll edit most of my video in Premiere Pro, and then I'll dump it into Final Cut Pro and add the text graphics on it and export from there. But eventually I'm gonna be completely 100% Premiere Pro. Real Twin Star asks, who was your favorite person you met at orientation? Referring to EPIK orientation. Bruh, is that really even a question? You my dude, man. You and all of the other EPIK crew 2018, you guys are all my favorites. Ali Marie asks, where else would you like to travel to and why? So I would like to travel to some of the Asian countries, obviously on this side of the world, since I'm very close now. I think Japan will probably be my first trip since it's really affordable and it's super accessible, but I also want to visit Vietnam and Thailand and even China. Never been to any of those countries, so I think that would be cool. So I think the next year or so, I'll focus on maybe traveling to those countries. I think it would be great to just get a different lens on other Asian cultures and to really just have an immersive experience just for the week or two that I'm there. I don't know, and I think for me, eating is a huge part of traveling. So having good food and having the food of the culture is huge. And so I think it would be awesome to experience that in those countries. Kat Julie asks, why Uniqlo? Why not Uniqlo? Yo, Uniqlo makes the best jeans in the world. I'm telling you. So the past 5-6 years, the only jeans I've ever worn is Uniqlo because they're like stretchy and they're comfortable and they have my size. And so love Uniqlo. This question is from Jihyun, and she asks, what's your daily schedule like? From what time you wake up to what time you sleep, etc. So my schedule is pretty simple. Monday through Friday, I'll usually wake up at 6 a.m. and I'll hit the gym, which is right next to my building, very convenient. And then I'll come home, shower up, and I'll head to work and hop on a bus. And my commute is about 40 minutes. I'll get to work around 8:45, 8:50. I'll be at work until around 5:40, 5:45, and then head home, get home about 6:30. And from there, I'm usually eating dinner and then editing or doing some sort of work. And usually from there, I'm usually editing or doing some sort of work at the apartment or at a coffee shop. And my weekends, it really depends and varies, but a lot of my weekends are spent in Seoul, and I go to either hang out with other friends or YouTubers. So that's kind of my break from the Monday through Friday 9 to 6 grind. And that's about it for right now. I'm sure my schedule is gonna evolve eventually, but that's pretty much what I've been doing. Dimitri Lyon asks, who or what has had the greatest impact on your life? That's a really good question, Dimitri, and my answer is simple. My parents. My mom and my dad. So my father, who is no longer with us, he is the hardest working man that I have ever known, and not only was he hardworking, but he was also one who loved his family and loved his kids. My father set a great example of how to work hard and also how to be a family man. And not only that, but the biggest thing that sticks out in my mind when I think about my dad is the fact that he never complained about anything. I've seen my dad go through good times and I've seen him go through bad times, especially when he was sick. And guess what? He never complained, not once. And so that has left the biggest impact on my life because he was just the type of person that he went with the flow, but whatever came his way, he just dealt with it and he did it without complaining. And so I love that. Now my mom, who is also at the same token one of the hardest working people that I know, as well. She is someone who unconditionally loves hard, and she loves her family and loves her children. My mom is one who shows sacrificial love. She has sacrificed so much for her family, and that has left a lasting impact on me. My parents gave me just the perfect example of how to live my life and how to treat people. So I'm nowhere near their level, but I am striving towards being just like them. Janie Lewis asks, where is your favorite place in Korea? Could be anywhere. Now, as of right now, my favorite place I would have to say is Seoul. And the reason for that is I like busyness, I like action, and I like city lights and big buildings. And so Seoul right now is my favorite place, but I have yet to explore much of Korea, and so that might change in the coming weeks or months, but as of right now, it would be Seoul. It's Gina Kim asks, how much do you drink and what's your favorite alcohol? Now, if you guys don't know who Gina Kim is, she is a fellow YouTuber, so make sure you check out her channel. But Gina, to answer your question, I don't drink a heck of a whole lot. I do like to drink mostly socially, and my alcohol of choice would have to be beer. My favorite Korean beer would have to be Cass, and my favorite American beer is Sam Adams Oktoberfest. So good. But I could definitely hold my liquor. Sonic Teapots asks, how's your class so far? Have you connected with your students well? Very good question. I'm in a unique situation where I haven't actually taught a class yet. Yes, I've been here for about 2 months, but because I'm not at a regular public school, I'm at an English camp. We haven't started any classes or camps yet. So that's coming up in about a week and a half. So what I've been doing up to this point is just preparing for the camp with games, activities, themed classes that I'll be teaching. So I'll give you guys an update on how that goes once I start doing it. But as of right now, haven't taught any kids yet. No Strings 92 asks, have you met any celebrities yet? No, I have not yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll run into some, especially if I'm hanging out in Seoul a lot. Young Soleil asks, what are the top 3 craziest things you've done in Korea so far? Tell us, naughty boy. I haven't done anything crazy because I'm pure. Jackie M asks, what are some things that you did to get adjusted to Korea, maybe before and after? Well, Jackie, I definitely took a lot of time in watching a lot of YouTube videos and watching a lot of foreigner experiences in Korea prior to coming here. I can't tell you how many videos I watched of 10 things I hate about Korea or 5 things I love about Korean culture. It gave me pretty good insight, I think, into the foreigner experience in Korea, so that really prepped me. As far as me getting adjusted coming here, I think just having the mindset of going with the flow and really just doing my best to understand the cultural perspective from Koreans on this side of the world. And then that way I'm not easily offended or I'm not easily caught off guard by anything. So that has helped me and that's still helping me. So I would say I'm pretty adjusted at this point, but there's still things here and there that I'm still, I guess, getting adjusted to. Sam Shin asks, who is your favorite Korean friend? Sam, is that even a question? It's you. Jackie Blue from Twitter asks, how are you adjusting to your new life? Is it what you thought it would be like? That's a really good question, and I kind of answered the adjusting part in a previous question, but is it what I thought it would be like? I would say for the most part, yes, it is what I thought it would be like, though there were a lot of things that I was uncertain about, but I didn't come with this crazy set in stone expectation. Again, I more so came with just being fluid and flexible. But I did expect to have a good time coming in, and I did expect to not really have a difficult time adjusting because I am very familiar with the cultural nuances of Korea and Korean culture. So for the most part, it is what I thought it would be like. The Luis asks, how do you stay so positive all the time? I think that has been something that has developed within me over the years, especially in recent times. And I made mention about my father who never complained about everything. My dad was a very positive person. And so I strive my best to be like that. And one of the things that really helps me stay positive is the understanding that I can't really control everything, right? If I need to control everything, or if I have this desire to just control everything, I'm gonna go crazy because there's things that happen outside of my control. And having the mindset of I'm gonna go with the flow and handle things as they come really helps in staying positive. Also understanding that if you're negative or look at things negatively, that's not gonna help anything. I come to the realization that life is just too short to be negative and to be stressed out because you're just so negative. Being negative is stressful. Also, another thing is negative people are not a pleasure to be around, and I don't wanna be that person, you know? So I try to stay positive. I'm a work in progress. I feel like for the most part, I am a positive person. I do have my moments, but I'm striving to just remain positive in everything that I do and everything that I say. Mascara Bianca asks, do you see yourself living in Korea for good or eventually living back in America or another country, and why? So my plan is to actually stay in Korea long term. By long term, if that's forever, then great. If that's until I make enough money to just float around and just go wherever I want, that too. But I do have plans on staying here for a long time and really settling down here. So the reason for that is because of some of the things that I want to get into. And I'll talk a little bit more about that maybe in the next Q&A or maybe in another separate video. But I really want to get involved in different aspects of Korean entertainment here and also focus on growing my brand and also my YouTube channel here in Korea. And who knows what the future holds as well. But I do plan on staying here for a long time. Guys, I think that's all I have time for in this video. I didn't get a chance to cover every question, but I will be recording a part 2 where I'll tackle the rest of the questions, and so stay tuned for that. Again, thank you guys for sending these questions. Hopefully you got to get to know me a little bit better or receive some information that was valuable for you guys. If you like this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, and also if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, that way you get notified of every upload and you won't miss a video. All right guys, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.